Nearly 2 years after the deadly Galwan clashes in India's union territory of Ladakh, its neighbour China is now resorting to some provocative moves in the region. The People's Liberation Army is building bridges in eastern Ladakh to improve connectivity for its troops. The bridges being built are near Pangong TSO on the Chinese side. Reports say the bridge is just 20 kilometers from the line of actual control, and the construction began 3 weeks ago. This is China's second bridge in a year in the region. The first one was constructed in June last year. The purpose of these bridges near the occupied region is to get more soldiers and weapons. The first bridge can accommodate soldiers and lighter vehicles. The second one is reportedly bigger in size and is wider, which means it can be used for bigger consignments. Not just soldiers, the PLA can send armoured columns with heavy weapons as well. The Indian government has said that it is monitoring the situation and that talks are on with the Chinese side.
The frictions and tensions that arise from China's deployments since April 2020 cannot be reconciled with a normal relationship between two neighbours. So we will continue to remain engaged with the Chinese side, both at the diplomatic and military levels, to ensure that the directions given by the two ministers are implemented fully. And of course, if there is any further update, we will share with you. So that's on the talks part of it. We have seen media reports and other reports on the so-called bridge, or I don't know if it's another, somebody said second bridge, or if it's an expansion or widening of the current bridge. Look, probably, and the area that is referred to is, of course, we've always felt this was occupied. And we have had our, for decades. And we have, of course, from a military perspective, I would not be in a position to comment that. I think Ministry of Defence or the implications of that. But as I said, we monitor such developments, and if there's any update on this, we will share with you.
These bridges that the Chinese army is building are not development projects. China is ramping up its military infrastructure near the occupied region. Since the Galwan standoff, China has been on a building spree. These bridges are being connected with roads to one of China's biggest military garrisons in the region. The military infrastructure is meant to counter India's natural defense. The Galwan clashes were the deadliest in 45 years. 20 Indian soldiers were killed in the violent clashes that led to a military standoff with China, and at least 11 rounds of military talks for disengagement process. India has since then maintained that tensions and friction due to Chinese deployment since April 2020 cannot be reconciled to bring back normal relations between the two countries. Our principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibal getting us this report. Take a look.
India's Ministry of External Affairs has reacted to the reports of China building another bridge when it comes to the Pangong Lake, saying that when it comes to building of these bridges, this is something that China has been doing in occupied areas. Now, the spokesperson of the External Affairs Ministry, Arindam Bagchi, talked about the talks which are happening between India and China when it comes to the situation at the line of actual control, especially in eastern Ladakh. And of course, we know that the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi was in Delhi, in which India strongly raised the issue as well. But largely, if you look at India-China relationship, since the 2020 Galwan incident and the increased Chinese presence of its troops, which is something that goes against the pact signed in 1990s. There has been a downward trajectory in the relationship. We know that India has clearly said that whatever happens at the line of actual control when it comes to eastern Ladakh or anywhere else, it will have an impact on the relationship. We know India has also increased scrutiny on Chinese investments. And of course, there hasn't been a high-level engagement as well. And of course, since 2020, we know the celebration of the diplomatic relationship has also been downgraded. It did not happen. But largely, we know that even as the bilateral relationship has been going downhill, both countries were present at the BRICS foreign ministers meeting that happened earlier today, where of course India talked about the sovereignty of countries that needs to be respected. A message, of course, to Beijing, particularly in the light of what China has been doing at the line of actual control. Siddhant Sibal for WION in New Delhi.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.